we're making dried sausage at home, and you're going to need a couple of items to get started. First, you're going to need a large bin, something to hold the meat when it comes out of the meat grinder. You're going to need a meat grinder. We're using the Lem Big Bite number 5. This was purchased at Field and Stream. You're going to need a cutting board, some sharp knives, and maybe a cold beverage. To give the sausage tons of flavor, we're going to be using 2 cuts of pork. What you see here is a pork butt or Boston butt. This is part of the shoulder, and it's got lots of fat on it that you need for the flavor. The second cut we're going to be using is pork loin. This gives us a leaner cut of meat, but also still has a lot of flavor. But we need that balance so the texture and the consistency and the flavor of the sausage comes out perfectly. And here's the actual ratio we used: 8.5 pounds of boneless pork loin and 17.4 pounds of boneless pork butt. All right, you are going to start hacking up this pork loin, and what you want to do is get it into more manageable pieces that are pretty much uniform so they feed into the meat grinder consistently, keeps things moving, and everything gets ground uniformly and nicely without any type of interruptions or pauses in the process. So just get this into smaller pieces, cut it into strips, and then cube it up. And now it's time to start cutting up our pork butt. We want to leave most of the fat on here, but remove any of the tough gristle. So now that your pork is all cut up into pieces, you're ready for the next step in the process, and that is grinding the meat. So you want to make sure that your bin is ready to go right underneath the meat grinder. You want to set everything up and make sure that your pork is as cold as possible. That way it keeps moving and it doesn't get sticky or gummy inside the meat grinder. We used a little bit of the Lem silicone spray just to keep things moving, but you could use another cooking spray of your choice. It would do the same exact thing. Now that your pork is completely ground up, you want to clean out the meat grinder a bit. Just make sure you get everything out of the feeder and make sure you get everything out of the blade, and you're ready to move on to the next step, which is seasoning. Now it's time to choose your seasonings and your spices, and you're also going to need some sea salt and some curing salt. So everything that you see here we have utilized in this batch of dry sausage, and it came out great. We used 11 ounces of Sicilian sea salt that we picked up at Mario Batali's Eataly in Chicago. Highly recommended if you've never been there. Once your salt is measured, you are going to distribute it as evenly as possible over the sausage. Next, you're going to measure out about 4 ounces of paprika. This is going to give it some really bold flavor, and it's going to taste delicious. Don't skip this step. Next, you're going to weigh out 2 ounces of red pepper flakes. You can skip this if you like your sausage more mild, but if you like it to have some spice and some kick and some heat, you definitely want to add these. You don't have to crush them, you don't have to grind them, you're just going to put them in the sausage whole. Next, we added 2 ounces of black pepper. This is finely ground. And 4 ounces of whole fennel. We decided to layer the flavor by adding 1.5 ounces of ground fennel. We measured out and added 1 ounce of cayenne pepper. This also gave it some added heat. We also included 1 ounce of juniper berries. After measuring them, we added them to a coffee grinder just so we could grind them up fresh. And we also added about 1.2 ounces of black peppercorns and then 1 ounce of white peppercorns. We went ahead and coarsely ground those as well, just gave them a really coarse, quick chop, and then we added those to the sausage mixture. After we coarsely chopped the peppercorns, we put them back in the bowl so we could add them to the sausage mixture easily and evenly. And as you can see, the spices have continued to layer and add tons and tons of flavor to the pork mixture. So the last thing we're going to be adding is 5 tablespoons of curing salt or pink salt. You can buy this in so many different places, including Walmart. So we're going to add that, and then we're going to be ready to mix. And in the interest to save time, we have sped this up. I wish we could have mixed this quickly in person, but you just want to put on a fresh pair of gloves and get in there and start mixing up the sausage mixture so you can get all the flavors evenly distributed. You don't want a real peppery bite or a real salty bite. You want this all to have a consistent flavor to it. So get in there, mix it up from the bottom, make sure that everything is combined thoroughly, and then you are ready to start filling your casings. So we have our sausage stuffing station all set up for us. We purchased natural casings. Those come packed in salt, so you want to soak them for about 2 to 4 hours and then rinse them thoroughly. So we have our sausage stuffer set up and our bins that are going to catch everything. All you want to do is take one of your casings and attach it to the stuffing tube and then tie the end in a knot. You just have to do a simple balloon knot, nothing too fancy. And then what you're going to do is you're going to fill this casing to your desired amount. You can cut this and tie it off at any point. It's really up to you. Or you can fill the casing in its entirety, which is what we did. It was just easier to hang them that way. And you can also cut them down the road after they're dried, and you can cut them to the desired length then. So now it is time to add your sausage mixture to the sausage stuffer tray. You want to fill this up completely. Once you start filling the casing, you want to keep things moving. So fill it up to its entirety and you are ready to go. And once you get to this point, things start to move very quickly. The casing takes no time at all to fill up, and so you're going to move through the rest of this at a much faster pace, not as fast as what we are fast forwarding right here, but again, it's going to go much more quickly. If you have one of these sausage stuffers, they are so handy and so nice and easy to use, and all you have to do is fill it to its completion and then tie it off again in another knot, and then you'll be ready to go with your next casing. So you're just going to repeat the process for as many casings as you have or until you run out of sausage mixture, and then after they are all completely tied and ready to go, you are going to start to poke holes in them with your sausage poker or your toothpick, and I'll show you a little clip of footage of doing that as well. And then after you have completed that, you will be ready to hang. So you're just going to keep going and tie off and keep repeating this process until you are completely finished. Now, once you have completed stuffing the casings with the sausage, you're going to take some baker's twine and tie off the other end and seal this up completely before the next step. The next thing you're going to do is take a sausage poker or toothpick and poke holes right through the casing to allow air to penetrate through the sausage over the next 4 to 6 weeks while it hangs. Yes, it's going to take that long. You can hang this in any cool, dry place in your home without direct sunlight, and it does not exceed 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is what our sausage looked like while it was hanging out in its cool, dry space in our home. We made several different varieties, and we did that just by changing up the seasonings and spices. Some of it we made hotter, some of it we made more mild. We just tried a whole bunch of different combinations of spices just to achieve different flavors. So what you're going to do is squeeze every sausage that you've made daily. This is going to compact it and get any air pockets out. The sausage is done usually when it's lost about a third of its weight. Depending on the climate that you're in, that's going to take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. So everyone, this is the finished product, the shot you've all been waiting for. This is your perfectly cured and dried sausage, seasoned to perfection. We cut this into more manageable sized pieces because we decided to use our handy dandy vacuum sealer and seal these all up into smaller packages that we could take out, enjoy, or give away as needed. So we put just a touch of canola oil into each of these Ziploc bags before sealing. This just ensures that it stays moist and it doesn't dry out completely before you are ready to enjoy this again later. So all you have to do is follow these simple steps. Have a little bit of patience because it does take a while. It took us almost 6 weeks to get to the perfect consistency and perfect level of dryness, and season to your taste. You don't have to necessarily follow what we did. Our seasoning was definitely perfected for us through trial and error, but season to your heart's desire. We sliced a little bit of this up to enjoy with some wine, so you can see the inside of the sausage. You can see all the delicious pork has married with all the spices and seasonings, and it just came out perfectly. We are so happy with it. So we will have this for months to enjoy, have our family and friends over. Everyone who has tasted it has said that it was delicious. I don't think they were just saying that. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Please subscribe if you would like to see more similar videos, and leave a comment if you have any questions or if you have any tips or tricks or other alterations to your recipe that you think would be helpful to us or to others who see this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.